And so I eventually eased into why he thought he goes, well, I didn't know they had cops like you, man. He goes, you got tattoos. And I was like, well, you ain't seen too many police officers because a bunch of us have tattoos. Yeah. So, but he's like, yeah, he goes like, you're cool. You're not even like a regular cop, And I'm like, all right, cool. All right, cool. Thanks, I guess.
Welcome to Hey Chaplain. My name is Jared Altick, and I'm a chaplain with the police department. The Hey Chaplain podcast is a series of conversations, mostly with police officers, who say, hey Chaplain, I've got a story to tell and some hard-earned wisdom to share. The guests on Hey Chaplain come from across the world, from the LAPD to Scotland Yard, from Seattle to South Africa, and sometimes from my hometown of Kansas City. They are sharing their wisdom so that you don't have to learn things the hard way. And as a patrol chaplain, I think you deserve something positive and encouraging. Please make it your goal today to share this podcast with one other person. That's how podcasts grow. Tell someone that you listen to Hey Chaplain, explain how and where on their phone to get it, send them a link to your favorite episode, and most importantly, tell them why you feel Hey Chaplain has made a difference for you. Today, we're talking about crisis intervention teams and the work that they do to free up police resources for other jobs. Our guest today is a CIT officer and an instructor I met at a training I went to this last year. His name is JD Pettey, and he is a 30-year officer with about a decade specifically working with co-responders on the crisis intervention team to help people in need because of addiction and mental health problems. JD has a tremendous amount of experience, and you're going to want to catch what he says is valuable about having officers who specifically specialize in CIT areas. Here's JD Pettey. Hello, JD. How are you today?
I'm pretty good, Jared. How's it going?
It's going well. It's going well. I appreciate you coming actually all the way over to my office. I'm glad you found it okay.
Yeah, actually, you're not that far from me. and it was all highway and main road, so I didn't have to get off anything. That's awesome. So it was a good trip.
Good deal. And so tell me just a little bit about your law enforcement career.
So I started law enforcement off as being an MP. As I wanted to get into police work, so I figured that was a good place to start. And then
get in early that way, right?
Yeah. Start when you're 18. And then I figured good way to get some college money, get some real world experience, and give me a little leg up with trying to get in the door because I knew nobody in law enforcement at all.
What branch were you?
I was in the Army.
Army. Okay, so Army MP.
All
right.
Got out, had a short break in service, and I went to work at a sheriff's department, and I didn't make very much money, so I made more money in the Army I did at the sheriff's department, so I went back to the Army.
Doing corrections in the sheriff's office?
Yeah. And I wasn't really big with. I never wanted to work in a jail.
Sure.
That was
some people they take to it, and some people it's not a good fit.
Yeah. So I went back to the Army, and because I worked at the sheriff's department, I had to move back home with my mom and dad. And after being out on your own, it's kind of it's kind of hard to move back home. So I went in the Army and did another 3 years, and I got out, and I got on the police department here in Kansas City. I've been on for almost 30 years sworn. I spent like 19 of them assigned in patrol, so I was on shift, the grind, 911 calls. Yep. That's your job.
And you're in a city where you're in an agency where you get on duty and there's calls pending.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So you're not sitting in a parking lot twiddling your thumbs. You are going from one call to the next call, one call for service after another.
Absolutely. It's so busy there. I remember as a young officer, I was riding with an older officer, and we had a second, and he stopped, and we was getting some breakfast. We was on midnight shift at this diner, and the dispatcher was hollering for any car, not hollering, asking for any car to clear to copy a call. And the call sounded kind of exciting, and I've got about 6 months on, so I'm super excited. And I said, "Hey, do you think we should take that call. And he just took another sip of his coffee and looked at me. He said, son, this place was blacked out with no cars available before I became a cop. And it's going to be the same way long after you're gone. Eat your breakfast and take care of yourself. And I was like, okay. And then, I'm definitely not going to say nothing back to a, 20-year vet, new kid on probation. So I was like, okay.
Yeah. Well, I think that's actually an important lesson. It's not that there aren't things that you would drop the food and run. There are certain calls you would, but you can't neglect yourself to chase every single call, because there are calls that are not as urgent.
Right. And he had the experience to know that, hey, this
can wait a minute before you finish your food.
Yeah. Get something to eat. And then like now that I've got some experience and everything, like, it's important to have a meal and keep your blood sugar right, keep your mind right to go out and interact with folks, because you get wrong, you make a bad decision, and when you could have waited 5 minutes and finished up your stuff and been good. So yeah.
But you didn't stay in patrol forever. Because that's not where I met you.
I got a heart condition. I got a little sick, and so I worked in our supply section, which was a very eye-opening experience on how police departments spend money and why some of the decisions are made. So I come out of there, not a glorious job, but definitely coming out of there with I understand a lot more, and it made me, and it also helped me appreciate the work that other people do and getting everything. Yeah. When I come to work, I have everything. Yeah. And that's because there's a whole logistical section of people working very hard to make sure I can come in and do my job. And so it gave me a new appreciation for other folks. But yeah, now you met me at one of our CIT training, CIT Crisis Intervention Team. You met me at the veterans training. It's a CIT training geared specifically towards veterans.
And understanding veterans. It was fascinating. It was multiple days of talking to people from the VA, talking to actual veterans who are cops, talking to veterans who have the cops called on them, and everything in between, and understanding the specific issues that veterans have. I mean, it was really informative. I gained a lot from it.
We're a blast to be around, especially when being around your peers. It's kind of one of the things I think that's really neat is we have, and going a little sideways on you here.
That's okay. It's okay. The worst I can do is cut it out.
Right.
So you're fine. Go ahead.
So police officers have that standard of not interacting with unsavory characters. Well, at the veterans training, we have several veterans that are just as connected, and they've been charged with felonies and what have you. Yeah. And just to see the officers turn that off for a second and then go back and connect with them just specifically as a veteran, rather than, okay, this person's, they've done this act and now they're a felon. Now I cannot associate with them. Go back. Yeah. They could still connect on that military service, which is, I think, great for both sides. Okay, it's not an us-them thing because of this incident. So it's really cool.
How did you get started down the CIT road?
Oh, boy. So I lost a brother, one of my brothers, to suicide, and kind of didn't understand some stuff. And we had this training, so had that, and then also we had just started our CIT program, and I ran a call with an officer that I viewed as kind of substandard. He wasn't one of the fellas. He didn't really fit in with folks, and we went on a call with a person that had a mental health condition. And this person was just all over the place. Well, this officer, who I believed was less than most, maybe it's just a bad way of looking at him, he was able to work through that, utilize resources. And I said, what did you do? And he goes, I went to this little CIT training, and they taught me about how to do this and utilize these resources. And he called up, and he had a nurse to come out to the house, and it was really cool. And I always viewed him as kind of a goof. And so I got in the car thinking, and I knew they had one of the trainings posted at the station. I thought, man, if that clown's that can do this. I'm going to be a freaking rock star at this.
Yeah.
So that, and of course, with the family thing, I had, I had some questions. So I got involved with our basic CIT program. And on my department, initially, we were just training our patrol officers through a 40-hour class. Then we started developing specialty classes where...
Okay, let's back up a step. Actually, 2 steps. Let's define what is CIT.
Okay, CIT stands for Crisis Intervention Team, not Crisis Intervention Training. A lot of people get the two confused. Yeah. When you go through the CIT program, you're joining a team of officers, a team of community mental health professionals, doctors, hospital staff. We have so many people. It's very multifaceted. It's a law enforcement-led initiative in Missouri where I work, but we embrace all of our community partners. I mean, our community partners from the social workers to the physicians to the ER nurses, equal partners. Let's come together and solve this problem. So it's a team.
The crisis intervention team, they're specifically going to calls where there's mental health factors. What else? Help me.
Mental health and substance abuse generally because a lot of times
the two go hand in hand.
Absolutely. It's referred to as a co-occurring disorder. With the two, oftentimes people will have a mental health condition and they're self-medicating, doing unhealthy things to solve it, and it escalates to a point that we get involved. So
now I know a lot of CIT advocates are like every single officer should be trained in this, and that is happening in some places where every officer would go through and receive some CIT. Maybe that first 40-hour class, they would like get the very basics of identifying these problems and more savvy ways to deal with it and get these people the help they need versus just arresting them.
Right. They are going to that method. I kind of have an opinion on that.
Okay. Well, I was going to say the other option, one path is every officer gets trained in this. Another path that may exist at the same time or be a different option would be to have a team of officers and co-responders that would respond out to these calls.
My take on this is once you train everyone the same way, you've kind of taken away the specialty of it.
Okay.
I think in law enforcement, everybody has their niche.
Yeah.
There's certain guys that want to be detectives, and there's certain guys that don't. There's
guys who want to do DUIs and
absolutely
that kind of thing. Yep.
And I think it's important to get the officers that if that's their passion, when it's your passion, you're going to do a better job. Because when I was we could back up with me a little bit. When I was trying to find my way, I thought I might want to work investigations, and so I did a job rotation through our property crimes. And day 3 there, I realized I never want to. I mean, there's no way I want to be a property crimes detective. I have all the respect in the world for them, just not my cup of tea. It just wasn't. But I think having that officer that has that motivation, that drive, that passion to do it, you have guys that want to chase burglars, they want to chase car thieves, they want to chase drug dealers. You know what? Harness that officer's focus and let them do that, and then you'll have other officers that want to do different things. I mean,
so letting an officer specialize is maybe better for morale. It's more effective use of personnel. There's some advantages, you're saying.
Oh, absolutely. That's my opinion.
That's what got you. You took the training, and then and that's where I was saying I wanted to go back a step. You took the training, and then you were involved in doing the training. You were training others, and you were actually responding out as a CIT officer, weren't you?
When I started with CIT, we had to do an interview. Why do you want to do this? Are you willing to volunteer for these calls? Or they would look on the roster. You're CIT trained. You're going on this specific call. And requirement was you're doing a report on every one of those calls. So it's you couldn't blow the call. So they made sure you had some commitment and dedication. You were supposed to step up and volunteer and take it, or dispatch would have it on the roster who was CIT trained and just automatically send you.
Yeah.
One of my bosses heard a little bit of my personal story, and he goes, "Hey, would you be willing to come share that?" He goes, "You're doing a real good job with the CIT stuff. Would you be willing to come share that with one of our classes?" And I said, "Sure." And so I did it, and then I got invited back. And then, hey, we're short an instructor for this. Can you step in? So I started just stepping in and filling in on stuff, and I enjoyed what I was doing. And then that's how I really got involved in doing some of the presentations.
And now you're involved in multiple trainings. You've gone to conferences to speak. You've been involved in all sorts of stuff, haven't you?
Well, our department went ahead and expanded, and they started a full-time CIT unit. At that point, we had a basic class that we were putting on. Veteran-specific one is where I met you. We have a youth-specific class, a telecommunications-specific class. So there was a need for us to do that. And then the high volume of calls that was coming in. As the unit was starting, we formed a real good relationship with community mental health in Missouri. We have community behavioral health liaisons that they're specifically work with law enforcement when someone has law enforcement contact, how to get these people connected with services. So we started working with them, and that's kind of how they were co-responding with us. They were following up on calls. We was going on live calls, and that was kind of the beginning of that, like 10, 12 years ago. And we brought more professionals in. We got them involved with the training, and our department expanded, and I put in for one of the spots and got lucky and got it.
Do you have a favorite story?
I don't like to brag.
That's all right. There's only people from 130 different countries listening, so you go right ahead.
I do not like to brag. My favorite story is I had a guy that was in treatment and in services, and he serious mental health condition, co-occurring disorder. He liked his alcohol. Expressed to his therapist that if he was going to do suicide, he was going to do suicide by cop. And he had a rifle, and he didn't like the police. And in his delusion, he thought the police hated him because he had tattoos and he liked motorcycles.
Which would also describe like half the cops. But
right.
Yeah.
And she shared it, the therapist shared it with her colleagues, said, "Hey, I got this guy doing this. You work with the police. What can we do on this? This is, I know she goes, I know him." And she goes, "Let me give an officer a call." And she said, we go out to this guy's house, and he's he has some psychosis going on, but he's not under the influence, which is tremendously helpful.
How do you dress to respond out? Are you in full uniform? Are you dressed down like in polo? How are you dressed to go out to a call like that?
Well, now we're in full uniform. That's a sore subject right there.
When this happened?
When that happened, I was dressed down. I was in our casual in a more casual uniform. I was in like khaki pants and a police identification T-shirt.
Okay. Do you think that's wise? Do you think that's preferable?
I do, and there's a lot of agencies. Actually, I met the chief of the Detroit Police Department, and that's how his CIT unit functions.
Yeah, so they dress down.
They dress down. Yeah.
Okay. So you go out to this guy.
And, it's summertime, so I got short sleeves on, and not everybody else can see, but you can see I got some tats up and down my arms. And she introduces us. We talk for a few minutes, and he's working on a motorcycle, and so we start talking motorcycle. Then we start talking tats, and then we start talking artists, and then now we got our arms up next to each other. And I like the way your line goes like this. And that guy did a great job with that. And I mean, it's just like,
you're bonding.
Yeah, just you're just talking to a regular dude. Yeah. It was almost like not even being really, I had to be on guard, of course, but like it was almost like, connected, not even being at work.
Yeah.
It was like this is just something you'd chat with somebody about at a bike shop or at a tat shop or something like that. And, we talked a little bit more, and then he asked me, he said, do you have any kids? And I was like, yeah, I got kids. He goes, man, I got a little girl. And he started telling me, I said, well, man, hey, dude, I got daughters too. So, we then bonded over both of us, having daughters, and we talked. And so I eventually eased into why he thought the police. He goes, well, I didn't know they had cops like you, man. He goes, you got tattoos. And I was like, well, you ain't seen too many police officers because a bunch of us have tattoos. Yeah. So, but he's like, yeah, he goes like, you're cool. You're not even like a regular cop, And I was like, all right, cool. All right, cool. Thanks, I guess. Now I got a connection with this guy. And sure enough, 3 weeks later, he has a meltdown.
Yeah.
And he's in the house with a rifle. And they call me up and say, hey, can you talk to this guy? So we don't have to...
We'd rather not have an officer-involved shooting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'd rather not explain that. But they was like, can you saw? I got him on the phone. We got to hobnobbing, and he agreed to come out and go on in and work with the mental health professionals. So once we got him out, we got him separated from, the gun and everything, and I knew he was safe and okay to go to, community mental health.
Because you'd already built rapport with him, and he trusted you.
Yeah, he trusted me, so it was pretty cool. I thought it was like
it probably saved his life.
Yeah, because I don't think he's a bad guy. I know he's got a very, very serious mental health condition, but we ain't had contact with him since. So obviously something's working.
These types of calls, the attitude of law enforcement toward those calls in the last, let's say, decade that you've been experienced. Can you talk to me about how that has changed and how, the old guard officers look at that and what they've maybe learned when they come to a CIT training? So
being one of the old guard officers, I'll just kind of touch real quick on, I didn't get a whole lot of mental health training. This is a medical problem. This is a family problem. You folks need to figure it out and quick on the police. And if not, they were arrested on whatever violation we could find because jail solved the problem because they weren't calling 911 anymore.
Yeah. You take it to jail, wash your hands of it.
It solved it for your shift or however long it took them to either make bond or get released. As I got involved with it and we started going on these calls, people started seeing, okay, we don't have to fight these people. And that's a big thing, use of force, nobody wants to do paperwork on that. I mean, let's be honest, I don't know any cop that likes doing paperwork. So, there's a whole lot, less paperwork with having a conversation with somebody and utilizing the patients and learning things and understanding. And I think maybe just society as a whole has become a lot more open to mental health.
Yeah. Yeah.
And things like okay. Yeah. We still have some guys like, hey, I didn't sign up to do this. I signed up to
catch bad guys.
To catch bad guys, chase bad guys. That's why I don't want to do this. And so that's why, like we were talking earlier, I think it's important that you have that balance of officers with doing things.
But that's another thing I thought was valuable in the different CIT trainings that I've taken was that you could misidentify, at least at first, who the bad guys are. Because somebody having a mental health crisis is not automatically a bad guy yet, but they might be presenting that way. I felt like the education and learning about this and knowing that I have other options than just handcuffing them and taking them to jail.
Right.
I felt like that was super informative. Now there's different options on the menu for an officer when he approaches a difficult situation.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, sometimes pre-988, 911 was the easiest number to call to get somebody to come to your house. Yeah. My department, you call, somebody's going to show up, good, bad, or otherwise. You might be going to jail, you might, what have you.
So what's the value of CIT training? What does that bring? Let's say there's departments that they just never invested in it, or they did once and then never came back to it. What's the value to having CIT training for your patrol officers?
I'll give you an example. We had officers went out to a house 56 times in 21 days.
Oh, wow.
And
so almost 3 times a day.
Yeah. All mental health issues. Didn't write any reports. Didn't send CIT. Got an email on it. We went out, and I took my mental health professional with me. Her and I went out one time. We've never been back to this lady's house, and that's been 12 years.
Oh, wow.
I can give you a lot of examples like that. So I eliminated that many calls for service. So if I eliminated 56 calls with one, or on just that one, we had another lady that she had 72 law enforcement contacts in a 5-day period with like 7 different agencies. I mean, she didn't get the answer she wanted at Clay County. She went to Platte County. She didn't get the answer she wanted at Platte County. She went to Smithville. She didn't get the answer she wanted there. She'd come to Kansas City.
Just making the tour around the metro.
I think at one point she even called the FAA, and I'm not real sure on that. Why on that one? But clearly the lady was in psychosis, and she believed her children were in danger. And when I had me and mental health professional followed up with her, and looking at it from a parent's aspect, how far would you go to protect your children? Well, this lady, her delusion, it was just so real. Her children was in danger, and she wasn't going to stop until they were protected. Yeah, and I could relate to that as a parent.
Sure,
but what's causing her to think this?
Right, and going out with a CIT informed model, you guys could bring her to the right resources, or bring the right resources to her in a way that's different than just, well, you're being a nuisance, we're going to find something to charge you with and put you in jail for a day.
Right.
Yeah.
And now she did consume, me and the mental health professional spent a day and a half with her. Yeah. We spent the rest of one day, and then she agreed to come in and do some more stuff over at the mental health center, and we spent another day with her getting everything in order. She had accumulated court dates and what have you. We got this all condensed up. She's coming in, she's getting her treatment. We know when she's got to go to court, so they're not turning into warrants. We got her thinking clear and doing things. Got her assured her children are safe. And we haven't heard from her in a couple of years now.
Yeah, it seems like that's valuable to you if you take somebody who's a constant, a frequent flyer, and you get them to a place where they're not calling 911 every day. That to me, it sounds like you're saying that's how you measure success, or it's one of the ways that you measure success.
Absolutely. And then going back to the old cliche in law enforcement, during that interview, when we were sitting, across the table, they said, "Why do you want to do this?" To help people.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that showed up says, "I want to chase bad guys. I want to drive lights and sirens. I want to carry a gun. I want to jump fences." Nobody says that in an interview.
They all want to, but you don't
That's
say
what you're thinking. We all come pre-programmed with the standard answer to, "I'd really like to help people. I want to give back to the community."
But this is actually helping people, and it's helping people in a way that then frees up all kinds of time and resources to catch bad guys.
Absolutely. I view it as this, like when I'm handling this or I'm working on this, my officers who aren't into CIT, my fellow officers that aren't into CIT, they're out. They're getting to do, they're getting to impact crime in the community in another way. So they're getting, we're both, it's kind of a twofold thing. They're getting what they want, I'm getting what I want. This person has a better quality of life. Community's getting better policing where officers aren't tied up on these type of things.
Yeah.
Anything in law enforcement, no matter what you choose to do, takes a unique kind of officer to dedicate themselves to that, whether it's, the DUIs, the accident reconstructions, the homicide detective with, the meticulousness of that stuff. So I think it takes just different kind of officers with that, that passion for what they want to really make law enforcement grow. That whole... Everybody needs a little bit of knowledge. Yeah. I think we need some masters of trades. I don't think we need a bunch of jack of all trades master at once. I think we do need some trade masters in our profession.
JD, thank you for doing what you're doing with CIT.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate you having me on, and I appreciate you coming to the training. And it's kind of cool that we got to expand with the officers on the agency you serve.
Yeah.
And so that's really cool that we've actually grown it to a bi-state thing that
reach across the state line and help us out.
It's truly CIT because we're now a team rather than you're over here, we're over here. We're now working together on this, so that's really cool.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I so appreciate JD coming to talk about CIT, especially since he had no warning. That's not the topic we were originally going to talk about, but as we got started, it became a conversation about his specialty. And once we started rolling, I felt like, boy, this is going to be its own episode. But there's actually going to be a part 2 to this, which is the actual reason I brought JD in, to talk about the mistakes that cops make when they're in a difficult situation like the death of a family member and they put their foot in their mouth. JD's family has suffered multiple tragedies, and he's had a collection of experiences where police officers have tried to muddle their way through a difficult and sensitive situation and failed spectacularly. We'll share those stories on next week's episode. Please remember that the reason Hey Chaplain is a free resource is because of those supporters who are quietly helping behind the scenes. If you want to help this show reach more cops, chaplains, and other first responders around the world, please follow the link in the episode description to support the show. The views expressed here are the personal views of the hosts and our guests and do not necessarily represent the views of any law enforcement agency or its components. If you like this episode, please share it with a cop or someone who loves a cop. Thank you for listening to Hey Chaplain, and as always, let's pray for peace in our city.
This is the Chaplain's Daughter. Thank you for listening to the Hey Chaplain podcast. Your support of the show means so much to our family.